This video will help you with the distributive property. So the distributive property deals with when you have a number or variable, or sometimes both, in front of a set of parentheses. The way we deal with that is we need to distribute or multiply whatever's in front of the parentheses by everything that's inside the parentheses. After you've done that, you may need to combine like terms. We'll talk about that more when we have to deal with it. Let's go ahead and try this first example. So if I'm going to distribute, that means I need to multiply the 6 by everything on the inside. 6 times 7 is 42. 6 times 4p is 24p. I've done with my distributing now. Now I need to check to see if I have any like terms to combine. This term has a p in it. This one does not. So they are not like terms. Technically, this is a good final answer, although I know we're used to writing our answer in standard form, so this is technically correct. But if we want to write our answer in standard form, it would look like this instead. The 24p in front, and then the 42. That's all we had to do there. If you have to do a negative number in front, it still works the same. Just make sure you distribute that negative number. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. Negative 2 times negative 4m. Negative times negative is positive. 2 times 4 is 8. And then the m part stays the same. Again, we usually like to write our answers in standard form, so we're going to put the variable term first. This is technically right, but another good way to write this final answer would be the 8m first, and then the negative 2 or minus 2. Sometimes you'll have some things inside parentheses with something to distribute in front, and then another term on the outside. This 6 only gets multiplied to the things inside the parentheses. Doesn't affect this other term at all. Let's try it. 6 times 1 is 6. 6 times 3n is 18n. So we're done distributing. But then I still have this other plus n here. Now I need to combine my like terms. My like terms are the two n terms. Remember, when you see just n, that's the same as 1n. So when I go to combine those, 18 plus 1 is 19n. And then since the 6 doesn't combine with anything, it just stays the same. That right there is your final answer for that one. Sometimes you might have just a negative in front. So just a negative in front is the same as multiplying by negative 1. It might be helpful to write that 1 in. Now let's distribute it. Negative 1 times 8k is negative 8k. Negative 1 times negative 9 is positive 9. Remember, this minus 3 doesn't change, so just bring it along. To finish this off, let's combine like terms. This is the only k term, so that's going to stay the same, negative 8k. Combining my numbers, 9 minus 3 is 6. Since it's positive, make sure you put a plus sign in front. There you have it. That's some basic distributing. We're going to do several more. This is a really important topic we'll keep coming back to this year. We'll do some where you have to distribute twice. We'll do some with decimals. We'll do all kinds of crazy things. But nothing you can't handle. Just give me a moment to get things written down. So like I kind of mentioned in passing, sometimes you'll have two sets of parentheses that both have something in front of them. You distribute this 3 only to the first set of parentheses. You distribute this minus 7 or negative 7 only to the second set of parentheses. Let's try it. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 4x is 12x. We're all done with the 3. Now move on to the negative 7. Negative 7 times 5 is negative 35. Negative times negative is positive. 7 times 7 is 49. X. we completely done here? We are not. We need to combine our like terms. Let's start with the x's. 12 plus 49 is going to give me 61x. And now our numbers, 3 minus 35 gives us negative 32. So distributing twice just means you're kind of doing a little bit more work back in the distribute step, but the combining like terms works the way it's been working for us. Let's keep trucking. Negative 8 times p is negative 8p. Negative 8 times 1 is negative 8. 3 times 3p is 9p. 3 times 4 is 12. Let's see what we can combine here. Negative 8 plus 9 is 1, so you can write that as 1p. I'll show you another way to write it in a second. Negative 8 plus 12 is plus 4. This right here, 1p plus 4, is a perfectly acceptable final answer. However, if you were to see that expression printed out or in a book or something, chances are they wouldn't write that 1 because you don't have to put a 1 in front of it, sort of like back here. So another good way to write that final answer is just p plus 4. I don't care which one you do as long as you have the right answer. These next two, structure-wise, look more like things we did before, except now we have decimals. We can multiply with decimals, not a big deal. It's still distributing, it's still multiplying, whatever. You are welcome to use Desmos to help you with these decimals. I'm not going to show you the Desmos here, obviously. I don't have a built-in Desmos thing, but feel free to use Desmos or any other calculator for decimals or any numbers really that you're not comfortable with. This doesn't distribute because it's not attached to parentheses. So that's going to stay negative 9.5x. Now I'm going to multiply by negative, don't forget the negative, 0.2. Negative 2 times, or sorry, negative 0.2 times 4.7 is negative 0.94. Negative 0.2 times 6.3x is going to be negative 1.26x. We've done all the distributing. Let's see what we can combine. We do have two x terms, so we can put those together. When I subtract negative 9.5 minus 1.26, I get negative 10.76x. The negative 0.94 stays the same because it's the only number I have. Moving on to this one, it's very similar. We aren't going to distribute that negative 0.7 because it's not attached to any parentheses. We do, however, need to multiply by 3.7. 3.7 times 2.4 gives me 8.88n. 3.7 times 1.3 gives me 4.81. Again, feel free to use a calculator with decimals, no shame there. Last thing we gotta do is combine. I only have one n term, so that stays 8.88n. Number-wise, when I combine those, negative 0.7 plus 4.81 is going to be 4.11. That's it for decimals for now, I promise. I'm not going to make you do a bunch of decimals all day long. The last set of problems I'm going to show you are going to look a little bit different. There's not quite as much distributing, but we're going to have more terms to deal with. You'll see what I mean here in just a second. I'm going to separate these out because they can be a little lengthier, at least this direction. being patient. I can only do so much at once. Alrighty. So, how these look different. We have more terms inside the parentheses. All we have here is just a minus sign in front of the second set, and that's true for all 4 of these. We have some bigger exponents. This first set of parentheses in all 4 problems is actually not necessary. It's just saying these 3 things are grouped together. It's not separating anything for us. It's not saying we need to distribute anything. So the first thing I do is I'm going to kind of just free that first set of stuff out of the parentheses because we really don't need it. Okay, we don't need these parentheses right here. These parentheses are really important because it shows that everything inside here needs to have a negative or a -1 distributed to it. Let's do that. Multiplying by -1 just changes signs basically, but let's just go through it like normal. -1 times 4 is -4. P to the 4th stays the same. -1 times p squared is -1 p squared. You don't have to write that one, but I think it's helpful when we go to combine. -1 times -7p is plus 7p. So we've done our distributing. Now we combine. Let's be careful here. I always start with the biggest exponent so I can write my answer in standard form. The biggest exponents I see are 4. I have 4p to the 4 minus 4p to the 4. 4 minus 4 is 0. So that means I have 0p to the 4ths. But 0 times anything is just 0. So we don't normally write 0p to the 4th or even that 0. We're just not going to have a p to the 4th term because it cancels. Okay, moving right along. -4p squared minus 1p squared. -4 minus 1 is -5p squared. There's only one p term, so it stays the same. There's only one just number term, and that's a +4. So it'll be +4 at the end. It stays the same. That right there is your final answer. So basically with these ones, just be really, really, really careful about which ones are your like terms. Like terms have the same exponents on them. Let's try a few more just for practice because we're dealing with some different things here. Like I said, this group of parentheses is just grouping them together. We don't really need those parentheses. I'm just going to kind of let these guys out of there. They don't need to be trapped in there. We do need to distribute that -1 though. -1 times 8 gives me -8k. -1 times -4 is +4k squared. -1 times 2 is -2k to the 4th. Let's do some combining. Let's start with our biggest exponent, which is 4. -8k to the 4, -2k to the 4, -8 minus 2 is -10k to the 4th. Making our way down the list, I have k squareds. -3k squared plus 4k squared is 1k squared. So you can write that as 1k squared or just k squared. So again, if you want to write a 1 in front, you can. I'm just not going to show it this time. We talked about that a little bit before. Last but not least, regular k's. 8k minus 8k, sort of like back here. 8 minus 8 is 0. So those two terms are going to cancel. We have 0 k's. This right here finishes off my problem. Let's continue. We'll try just a couple more, then I'll be done bugging you with this stuff, I promise. Let these guys out of this set of parentheses. Distribute a -1. -1 times 3 gives me -3x to the 4th. -1 times x, or 1x, however you want to think of it, is being -1x squared. -1 times -2 is +2x. Let's see what we can put together here. Start with your biggest exponent, which is 4th powers. -5 minus 3 is -8x to the 4th. Don't have any 3s, so the next biggest thing is 2's. 6 minus 1 is 5x squared. It's positive, so we need a plus sign in front. Last but not least, -2x, positive 2x, -2 plus 2 is 0. So I have 0 x's, or they cancel. This right here is our final answer. One last one. Free these guys. Distribute our negative 1 here. Negative 1 times 8n is negative 8n to the 4th. Negative 1 times negative 8 is positive 8n to the 3rd. Negative 1 times negative 8 is plus 8. And that's it. All right, let's see what we can do combining wise. 4th powers, negative 7 minus 8. So 7 minus 8 is negative 1. But negative 1 n to the 4th is the same as negative n to the 4th. I can leave out that 1. I'm going to write it like this. If you wrote the negative 1 in front, that's totally fine. Making our way down the list. 7 plus 8n to the 3rd. Let's do 3rd powers next after 4th powers. 7 plus 8 is 15. N to the 3rd. And then we have just kind of some weirdo leftovers. There's only one n squared term, so it's going to stay the same. Nothing changes about it at all. There's only one number term. Nothing changes all about that either. It's possible to have things that don't combine. So this right here is my final answer. That is it for our distributive property. I hope you have a great day.